Okay, I want to know why nobody is talking about this. And this isn't one of those instances where it's like, oh, nobody's talking about it, but really you're like, everybody knows it. Everybody's talking about this. Not one of those things. This is genuinely underappreciated and underrated. And the only reason I think it's underrated is because people don't know about it. Because then it would be rated. Rated well. The only discourse I've seen about this is the stuff I had to look up the subreddit. In an age of online discourse, dare I say, too much, looking at you. Actually, pretty much every social media website. A lot of us are oversharers, myself included. If my wife had a penny for every time I told her about my bowel movements, well, let's just say I'll regret not signing that prenup. So what is it? What am I talking about? Silo. Does that mean anything to you? Probably not. And that in itself is a crime, sir. Point is, Apple TV show. I know what you're thinking. Mr. Fruit, I don't come here for your TV recommendation. That is fair. But today is a new day, all right? And hear me out, because I think you're going to thank me. Let me hit you with the elevator pitch. I'm doing more marketing for this thing than Apple has. You know Fallout? You know the vaults. We all do, right? The vaults that people went into after the whole nuclear fallout, and then, well, they exited it, and that's where like all the fallouts take place and whatnot. So this story essentially takes place in a Fallout vault, except there's a lot more people in the vault, aka like 10,000. And as far as we know, the nuclear fallout isn't over yet. And the little twist is, all history of mankind has been erased, or most of it. And that's sort of where the hook comes in. There's a little bit left out there, but it's all banned, all illegal. But why would that be? So that's just it. You got 10,000 people in the silo. It's called a silo. It's just like a giant tower. There's 200 floors. That makes up the silo from top to bottom. It's all underground. 10,000 people who don't know anything outside of the silo, because this takes place, I don't know if we know exactly, like 150 to 200 years, possibly, since the silo had been like locked away and whatever happened to Earth happened. If that doesn't pique your interest, I don't know what will. The reason I'm bringing it up today is this most recent Friday, season finale aired. 10 episodes. What a banger, my dudes. I'm still thinking about it right now, which is why I'm making a video. It's the day after. That doesn't happen. Most content, entertainment, whatever I consume and poop it out. Speaking of bowel movements, like it's in, it's out. That was fun. On to the next thing. Partly also because my memory is very fallible, but it's actually something my wife hates about me because it can be used for good. For instance, I can literally watch like a scary movie. Not that I really like to, but I could watch that, or like a psychological thriller. Whatever it is ends, put my head down, I'm out. I'm asleep. Don't think twice about it. No nightmares. Boom, I'm up the next day. It's great. My wife, not so much. It simmers and it sits, and you know, she needs like a palate cleanser. But so me sitting here still thinking about the series is in itself an anomaly for me, which is why I felt like I had to tell some people about it, because here's the other problem. I want more. Most video games I love, frankly, go to die, right? If you ever hear me tell you, oh, I love this game, that's a red flag. That game's on the out. What is it? It just released? It's probably going to be dead. A couple days max, because I like it, all right? TV shows, the exact same thing. I don't know what it is. It's been 3 weeks since the show was out or whatever. Didn't hear nothing. So I look it up, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I know next to nothing. I'll give it a shot. I prefer to do that with most things I've been recommended, because I don't actually want to know what they're about so much. I'd rather be surprised. So instead of watching like a trailer, I'll watch like the first 10 minutes. 15 maybe. If I'm hooked, I'm hooked. If not, on to the next thing. I was hooked. Bought in. And my challenge to you is watch the first 2 episodes. Watch the first 2 episodes. And then come back and tell me if you're not going to watch the rest. Okay? Because I'm betting for most of you, you're going to. My favorite sort of genre of things, how would you label them? Mind thriller? I like twisty things. Twisty things. I'm not just purely talking about like M. Night Shyamalan sort of stuff, but also, yeah, sort of like that. You know, freaking Inception. Speaking of TV shows, you got like Lost. Except this hopefully lands in the ending, unlike Lost. Ooh. We got shows like Dark, 1899. Sure, there's other shows that I can't think of right now. Plenty of other movies. It's like Shutter Island. Minus like the horror thriller and Leonardo DiCaprio. Otherwise, the point still stands. I enjoy movies like The Cube. You know, there's 3 of them? Yeah. No, I watched them all. Yeah. Were they good movies? I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say that, but I watched them and enjoyed them simply because of the premise. Interesting premises slash twists. That's what gets me going. That's what gets me niblets on fire. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring my niblets into this. That was uncalled for. See, the cube has an elevator pitch that catches me. You wake up in a room. The room is a cube. And on each wall, including the ceiling and the floor, there's a door. You go to that door, another cube. That's it. That's pretty much the information you start with, and you go from there. And I love to watch those because I like to see how they play out. I like to see interesting ideas or situations, and then I want to see how the author, or whoever it might be, came up with the story and where it goes from there. Like, what happens next? How do they explore this idea? And that's why I love the silo. I will say this, because when I looked it up after watching it, saw some discussion, some people were complaining that, like, after, I think, like, episode 2, sort of fell off for them, and they just couldn't buy back into it. I understand where they're coming from, and let me explain. Episode 1, 2, boom, boom, banger, which is why, like, that's what gets you asking the questions, gets you bought into the world, you're invested. Now, episode 3 through 9, it's like a fine wine, which I wouldn't know because I don't drink wine, but it's a good slow burn, because now what they're doing is the world building. We love that world building. Yes, sir. You got to flesh out some characters. The world. You got to ask some more questions. Answer a few, but sprinkle it, you know? For every answer, we got to give you another question. Where is it going? When will you get the answer? And I'm happy to say, unlike Lost, it seems like most questions will have answers, because here's the good thing. Here's the good thing, my dudes. It's based off a book, as I found out. Like, okay, sweet, dude. So it's like every other Hollywood movie. Nobody has any original ideas. First off, you're right. Yeah, like nothing's really original anymore. However, I'd never heard of these books, and I'm glad they made the series, because now I'm interested. And so why is that good news? Because if the show gets canceled, which, before you say something, I know you might be sitting here like, you're doing the groundwork. What is this, gerrymandering? You're trying to get us to watch it so you get your season 2. Nay, because by the gods, season 2 has already been greenlit. Now, I think part of that is, from what I understood, I think they essentially like filmed or started working on it pretty much as soon as they got done with the first one. So I'm assuming when they made the deal, they're like, oh, we'll bank on it. It'll be cheaper if we do 1, 2 back to back, and then probably see from there. I don't know if it needs 2 seasons, if another, like a third, a fourth, I don't know. I haven't read the books, but it does mean a season 2 is on the way. So I'm not telling you this just to blue ball you. Unlike every other show that I watch, Netflix, my dudes. They was in the room right here. Oh, they catching hands. 1899. Some people watched it. Apparently not enough. Got canceled. What a banger, dude. Like, if somebody asked me, what's your genre of entertainment? 1899. Sin tweet. That's it. That whole show. Whole premise. Twists. Turns. What's real? What's not? What should I believe? Try and guess some twists and turns, and then, my expectations have been circumvented yet again, even though I was circumventing expectations. How did they do this? Season 1 ends, boom. You're like, oh, sheesh. Can't wait to see where this goes. Let me look it up. Netflix cancels 1899. I didn't even see it late. I think I watched it within actually the first week or 2 it came out. And it was already canceled. Give us some time to cook. Just like hopefully you're giving me time to cook to sell you on Silo. It was such a good show. If you haven't seen it, the problem is I recommend it, but also I don't, because it's over. You're never going to get your answers. I'm never going to get my answers. We're never going to learn more about it. Such an interesting idea, such an interesting world. Freaking like a white newborn baby in America, it got cut off. I mean, I'll never forget what they do. They were busy, fumbling the bag with Henry Cavill? Way to go, Netflix. Watching season 3 like, wow, can't wait for this to be Liam Hemsworth. Talk about a tragedies. Now look, it's not like I'm upset about it or anything, okay? Really not a big deal. But you see why 1899 was a problem was because it was an original show made for TV, similar to Westworld, which I also enjoyed. And guess what? What do those have in common, aside from being original screenplays? They both got canceled before they could finish. And they're both shows where, like, the experience is the whole journey. You got many acts, many confined stories, but there's an overarching story from episode 1 to the very end. And unless you see all of them, you don't get the full picture. Both of those canceled. Both original pictures. So what happens is it's done. I want to know what happens, and I can't. There's no way. There's no show to finish. No book to read. Which I bring it back to Silo. Since Silo is based off books, guess what? If they want to hit me with the whoopsh, well, I'll hit them with the Uno reverse card and be like, whatever. I'm going to go buy the books. And now I'll know how the story ends. So no matter what, my friends, you can know how the story of Silo ends. We can experience the full thing. Crazy, right? Now, I prefer to watch it in television. That's sort of how I consume things. If I start by watching something and there's a different medium of it, I prefer to finish it in the medium I read. So if I read the book first, I'd want to read the book before I watch. If I watch something, I'd rather do that than read. Or like with anime and manga. If I started watching anime before I read the manga, which is pretty much all the time because I don't read manga, I'm not going to go read the manga because I'm going to wait for the anime to catch up. So my dudes, what's a dude gotta do to tell a dude about what to watch? Silo, Apple TV, Season 1. It's done. Go watch it. Now, again, episode 3 through 9, I'm sure people will be like, it's a little slow. First off, I enjoyed it. Because I bought in. Once I buy into something, cool. Give me more. More world building? Sick. Whatever it needs to do. But what's nice is they sprinkle in little answers, little breadcrumbs, but then more questions. And once you think you know something, they're like, boom. What you thought, you didn't. And so as much as like there's a question within a question. And then I get to the finale. And the finale is nice with it. It brings it back. I was curious, like, how are they going to end this? Oof. Good. It was the ending where I'm like, now I'm thinking about it the day after. I'm telling you about it. I need season 2, which I will get. So, again, well, part of this is a little selfish. Yes, season 2 is greenlit. But if I can get some more people on it to watch it, and then season 2 as well, maybe, just maybe, it'll keep going. In a perfect world, Papa bless, there's only 2 seasons. Because then I don't have to worry about a 3rd season not happening. But I don't know. Again, I don't know. And I'm not going to look into the books because I don't want to be spoiled. Because I'll put it this way. You're going to watch episode 1, and then you're going to probably want to watch episode 2. And once you watch episode 2, you're in. That's what it was for me. I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. Episode 1 ended. It's late at night. Time for bed. No, I got to watch episode 2. Watch episode 2. Ah, sheesh. When is this thing releasing? So anyway, hope you guys do enjoy. If you watch it and it's not your thing, oops. But it's my thing. Hence my recommendation. Love you.